Hello, everyone. How are you doing? A very warm good evening to one and all. So, from all the different parts of the world, we have people with us today, and I welcome everyone on this webinar, which is scheduled to brief about the aspect of literature review. And I, on the behalf of entire research graduate team, I welcome everyone on this platform where we will learn about the concept of literature review. Very good evening, Priyanka. Very good evening, Krishi, Salima, Bandhu. Very good evening, everybody. And let us begin uh, with the show for the day. So, let me tell you about the research graduate. About that research graduate, basically, it's a one step solution, one stop solution for all of you for getting your research queries sorted and getting your concepts clear. Okay. Very good evening, Mr. Manju, Miss Ashta, Miss Jyoti, Mr. Satavi. Very good evening, very warm good evening to everybody. So, when we talk about research graduates, so we are a consulting firm. We are a research consulting firm. I think that would be a better version to way to explain about us. And be it your queries related to topic selection, your proposal writing, your statistical analysis, your dissertation writing, thesis writing, anything. I mean, till the time you complete your paper, and after that also you need any kind of editing, proofreading, and formatting for your research work. Research graduate is that organization which can help you from A to Z of your research query. So wherever you go, we can help you out. So point here is that being a research scholar, I think I have gone through that tussle. I'm sure majority of you must have also gone through that tussle also, that where to begin from, right? And what to write about, what topic to go ahead with. I think that's a problem which majority of the researchers have. And sometimes when we sit to write the paper about, so that also this question comes in about what particular theme to talk about and what particular theme to work on. So this is where research graduates step in, and we are there to help you out. So what you can see on your screen is the contact details wherein you can reach out to us with the help of this email ID. The WhatsApp number is displaying on the screen, and so as the website. So any which ways you can, whatever preferable way you feel like, you can approach us. Okay. And as far as the structure of this webinar goes, like it will be a 90 minutes or so presentation, and wherein I appreciate that if it will be a two-way discussion. So I keep asking the questions in middle of this uh, webinar, and I'll appreciate that if all you can uh, connect with me through the chats, so I feel like that all my audiences are with me. Second thing is very important one, that just in case that you have trouble reading out these slides on the screen, so kindly improve the video quality of your YouTube, and do not panic. First of all, do not panic please, that the visibility is not there, slides are not clear. Don't panic, just listen to me. Okay, that's very important. Reason being, all the PPTs, all the recordings, and the certificates will be sent to you soon after the webinar on your registered email ID. So there is no issues, there is no concern, even if the PPTs are not clear to you. Just improve the video quality. Even then, if it's not there, just be rest assured the PPTs will reach out to you. Okay, so very warm good evening, Mr. Srinivas, Mr. Carola, Mr. Xavier, Miss Micheline. Very good evening to everyone. And now let me begin the show for you. And let's begin the webinar with the topic of literature review. Okay, I think literature review is one such aspect which is being, understood by majority of the scholars, majority of the researchers in a same manner. be it me from management, be it somebody else from engineering or finance or medicine or pharmacology or history, literature, any topic, irrespective. But I think it's very important to have a same level of understanding, which I'm sure all of us have about literature review, that all the researcher, all the scholars have similar level of or the same understanding about what is literature and what is review. Now, let me tell you one thing, that whenever you to come across, just in case you are not familiar about any term, or you does not know what does it mean, so any term which you come across and is unknown to you, kindly follow the literal English meaning of it. Okay, literal English meaning of it, so that you develop a fair, no, if not a fair good understanding, but a little bit of understanding about it. Now, for instance, if I'm saying literature review, so I assume that all those who are pursuing their PhD, all those who are academicians, they know what is literature review. However, if a student who is pursuing masters, and or she is supposed to design and develop a dissertation project, in that also you need to do a literature review, he or she is not that very clear about it. So how will we explain literature review? Firstly, let's divide the term, or let's dissect the term in literature and review. Okay. So, any form of information, any form of knowledge which is in the published form related to your area of study is called literature. Okay. So, any published information related to your knowledge, definitely from the authentic sources, and that also we will talk about it later on, is called as literature. And evaluating that information and extracting the information which is useful for you and for your study is review. Okay, because under the universe, even if your topic is very unique, but all the literature available for you on that particular topic not necessarily will be of your use. Agreed? All right. So, how will we say that what kind of information or what level of information will be for our use? That we decide upon reviewing it. So, that's why we say literature review. Reviewing the existing literature related to our selected or the chosen area of study, because everything which is available, you can't use that, right? You need to extract the right kind of and the right amount of information which is closely related to your topic of study. So this is what called as literature review, or review of literature as well. Okay, one and the same thing. All right, now moving on, let's define literature review. Okay. Namaste, Mr. Deepak. Very welcome, Mr. Suhas, Mr. Rajiv, Mr. Sheikh. Everybody. Even if I'm missing some names, kindly accept my welcome, very warm welcome to all of you. Okay. Now, Mr. Suhas, we'll take your questions one by one. Let me reach out to the middle of this webinar, so that fair good understanding develops in everybody. All right. Now we have understood what is literature review. Let's define it. If somebody says that if because you never know that your in your presentation or in your defense, somebody may ask you what is literature review, because we don't expect such easy questions to come, but we should know it. Okay. So as I told you, whenever you talk about literature, so literature is about your published material of the information. It can be in the form of books, journals, articles, blogs, authentic sources, of course, and critical evaluation of previous authors, review of previous authors on the area of your chosen study or on the problem which you have taken it out. Okay. Now, Basically, literature review is structured, and it is rich, it is designed in such a way that reflects to the reviewer, to the reader, that the particular author has done the or has explored the majority of the information available on it. Now when I say majority, I do not mean all. Okay, if the literature is vast, because you have, let's say you have taken a topic which is quite popular in past researches as well, so in that case the literature is already available in immense quantity. So don't expect that you will go for all. So don't feel guilty at any point in time that I missed out those studies. If you have done fair good studies, like for example for a PhD thesis, anything above, depending upon the topic, if the topic is quite broad, so anything above 160, number of studies, or anything above literature which is in number of 150, is good to go. Again, my suggestion is always follow your supervisor's comment on this. Okay, so this is what literature review is. So whenever you demonstrate or whenever you prepare a report on the information which is available in the previous publications related to your topic, and you have consolidated that report, you have analyzed that information based on your understanding closely related to your topic, you are describing literature review. Okay, all right. Now, what can be the sources of literature review? I think all of you know it. Your books can be the sources of literature review. And now, here, what you can see on your screen is, even if the screens are not clear, apologies for that, but the PPTs will be shared to you. But just listen to me. There are a couple of sources which are available in India, like Nash, because here we have in audience, we have couple of people, or majority of the audience from India, so which I have listed it down. So books are a very good source of your literature review. Your open sources of library, which are open to everybody, they are a very good source of your literature review. And your encyclopedias, the authentic one, please, when I say pedias, don't follow Wikipedias. Please do not follow Wikipedia information is not to be trusted upon. So don't source or don't quote any reference from Wikipedia. Okay, all right. There are some other sources, and the sources which I have given here, please, they are open sources. Make sure. Okay, all those who have issues in reading out the slides, please improve your video quality. And even then, if there is a problem, don't rest assured. Just be rest assured the PPTs will reach out to you. Okay, so don't worry. Okay, so the sources of literature review which you can see are the open one. Okay, now here journals, there are couple of journals, okay, which are open, like JSTOR, SSRN, Sage Open. Okay, yes, Sage also has an open source. Academia, ResearchGate, you have all these journals. And there are a couple of journals which are Scopus listed, which are Emerald listed, and they are open. And according to your field, you can go for the finding the right kind of a journal which can provide the right kind of literature for your topic. Okay, now when you say that what can be the authentic source for your particular literature review, now yes, when you talk about following anybody's previous thesis, or following anybody's dissertation, now you'll have to see that what is the quality level of that thesis which you are following as a literature, as a source of literature. Okay, as a source of literature, what is the quality of your thesis which you are taking. Let's say, for example, if that particular piece of work is being submitted to an 8-year institute. Okay, and you can see that quality of work, because being a researcher, being a scholar, you yourself has a research acumen, that how well the researcher author has written the work. Just in case you're not able to do that, so please see that, is there any grammatical error, is there any punctuation error, is there any spelling mistakes, what's the relatability between the objectives and the methodology followed, how the researcher and the author has written in terms of conclusion of the thesis. So by this you can judge. However, sources like Elsevier or Scopus, Web of Science, they are all authentic sources of, okay, they're all authentic sources of your source of literature. Okay, there are a couple of conferences also. Now, how conferences are an important sources, in my opinion, conferences are very important source, or probably an up to date source of your or of your literature. Reason being, because if you have noticed that conferences are scheduled and conferences are planned, I should say planned and designed. Conferences are planned and conferences are designed by keeping an up to date trend which is prevailing, firstly, and whatever is going on in the corporate world, or related to the theme, whatever the conference is happening on, whatever the trends are happening in that particular theme or the particular topic, conferences takes place on that. So through these conference proceedings, what you get to know is the most updated information. Okay, okay, so these are the sources of your literature. There are a couple of sources for the literature. Now here I have mentioned dissertation, thesis, internet west, definitely it's a very wide source of your literature source. Now there are two sources by which I've mentioned, by which you can reach out to the previous dissertation and thesis. For example, I'm sure many of you must be knowing it, that Shodh Ganga. So Shodh Ganga is one such thesis bank in India, online thesis bank in India, wherein all the or majority of the universities in India are listed, and in that department wise department, they have the thesis on it, the entire thesis you can get it. Okay, so be it the Jawaharlal Nehru University or Delhi University or Jamia, and I'm just naming a couple of them. So you may find these universities listed on Shodh Ganga, and then you can find it the thesis. Now there is one another source which I have mentioned for you, that is EBSCO Open Dissertation. So there all also you can find out. Now, one aspect which I would definitely would like to tell you about dissertation and thesis is that when you read the chapter of literature review of these dissertation and these theses, they already have presented or they already have reviewed couple of papers. Okay, so their chapter of literature review or their analysis or the review of literature will give you a vast information in a consolidated manner. Okay, probably you miss out, you have not find out the paper which are being used by that author. So in that way you get lot of literature without searching too many places, because any author who has written that thesis or any author who has completed that particular dissertation, he or she must have reviewed a lot of literature, and all that literature which he or she has mentioned in the thesis, you will get it under one study. So instead of going around, and then you can pick it out from the bibliography or the references listed at the end of the thesis. You can reach out to each study individually. So I'm giving you actually a tip, that you can pick out the thesis which are closely related to your topic, and then you can go to the references part, and then you can find out. So I'll take one question that Srinivas sir has asked, that how many reviews are to be shown for PhD MPhil. So as I told you, sir, When it comes to PhD or MPhil level of researchers, depending upon if your thesis is on a general topic, probably towards a very broader one, 150, 160, 70 is good to go with, right? However, this is not the case with research paper and student project. Research paper, depending upon if you're writing a literature review paper, number of people would be more. If you are doing a meta-analysis, even two papers are enough to go with. So that depends upon the nature of paper. And again, if it's a general topic, the general research paper, 20-25 papers are good to go with. Now, when it comes to thesis, the big theses are big enough. Again, if I'll tell you that that's the most popular thesis in the world is just of 7 pages, right? So it depends upon the nature of topic you are doing it, but for a general, for a border one, 150, 60, 70 is okay to go ahead with. Okay. No, 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 Mr. Suhas, that please do not take references from Wikipedia. Reason being, Wikipedia's information is editable. You can edit it. So whatever is listed today on Wikipedia, whatever is mentioned today on Wikipedia, you may find the same information tomorrow. You can't. You may not. I should not say can't. You may not. And Wikipedia's information is not at all to be reliable. It is the former Wikipedia's CEO himself said that Wikipedia's information can be editable. It can be edited. So the information which is today, which we are referring to tomorrow, it's not there. You can't. Okay. See, EBSCO, basically, I'll tell you, EBSCO is a research database which has journals with it, which has magazine subscription with it, which have ebooks with it. So it's a database which gives you an access of a world of literature. Okay. That's the use of EBSCO. All right. Now, moving on. Now, since I've told you n number of uh, sources of literature, but how to select, how to go ahead with the right kind of. Thank you, everybody who is liking the discussion. Thank you, Mr. Anirudh. Thank you, Mr. Jagru. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much. Even I'm not taking the name, I'm not able to take the name. Please accept my thank you for everyone. Okay, now coming back to what we were discussing. So, how to select effectively? Now, we have universe in front of us. We have a topic and we have n number of information with us. The point come, actually I should say that frustrating point comes when we are yet to decide how to do it, how to go about it, how to select it. And the anger comes whenever our research guide says that go and find the literature. Okay, now being a researcher, being an academician, I know how to find the literature. But if I go back in time and I remember when I did my first research product during my master's for MBA, I was a naive in research. I did not know how to go about it. And many times, everybody is not lucky enough that I was lucky enough that my supervisor guided me for how to search effectively. And honestly speaking, that those learnings I'm using it till now, especially learned during my PhD and my master's project. So I'm just delivering that those experiences for you. That always list down your keywords effectively. Okay, your keyword should be listed effectively. Now, what is the role of keyword? Firstly, whenever you are writing a research paper, okay, you tend to get it published in some other journal, or you present it with the conferences or so. But the main aim for us, for being an author or for being a researcher, for us is to reach out with our paper to the maximum number of readers, so that we can get a high number of citations, and most people can reach out to our paper, can read our paper, can cite our papers in their own research, and so on. But how will they find it? For that, you should have a clear list of your keywords. Okay, so that you can get the right kind of literature with you. Same case is applied for the use of keywords, that whenever you have a clear, precisely mentioned keyword for your paper, the reader can get easily find it. Okay. Now coming back to the use of keyword to the literature review. So how to find those keywords? Very important. You need to know that what is the topic I'm working on, what will be my research questions. Now what am I actually trying to find out? Okay. Am I working on customer engagement? Am I working on evolution on mankind? Or am I working on some particular aspect of medicine? Am I working on some particular aspect of engineering? So I need to have my research question. May not be the final one. I'm not saying that may not, because many of you will say that, till the time we have not finalized our research question, how can we finalize our research? Till the time we have not finalized our literature review, how can we finalize the research questions? Agreed. Tentative research question you must be having, or even if not the research question, but you must be having an idea about which I need to work on. Okay, so list down those keywords. Okay, what exactly is the main aspect you would like to work on? Okay, what are the main theories related to that aspect? What are the main inventions if it's related to science, and so, and their synonyms. Okay, so if I'm saying purchase behavior, my synonym can be buying behavior, right? If I'm conducting a study on kids, I can use the word children. Okay. If my study is related to colleges, I can use the word institutions, I can use the word higher education, right? So what I'm saying is, while searching your literature review, the horizon or the domain of your keyword should be wide enough. Okay. All right. Now I'd like to take some questions. Mr. Kundan, thank you so much for liking the presentation. But your question is, most of the researcher, they talks about Scopus, SCI journals, and does these use slides are indexed with above journals? I did not get your question, Mr. Kundan. Your slides, are indexed. Kindly please clearly state your question. Mr. Singh, how to find this false search string in the Google Scholar in order to use in a methodology? Yeah, it's there. It's there for Google, for every database. If you want to refine your search, okay, now let me tell my audience that what is refining. Let's say, for example, you want to find out a particular methodology, you want to find out all the literature on a particular methodology, you want to find out a particular author, you want to find out a particular year, you want to find out a particular region. So all these, you need to put them into the filtration. It works like very simple. It works like very simple, the way we put filters while selecting things online. Agreed? Let's say, for example, somebody is choosing a dress for himself or herself, a shirt for, okay, what do you put? You put your size, you put your preferred color, you put your preferred brand or so. Similarly, it works in your literature review refine. Okay. See, okay, when it comes to keywords should be there in a PhD thesis, what I am understanding is, Ms. Kasturi, that how many keywords you would like to mention in your thesis. Okay, it can go to 7 or 8 or at max 10. Okay. Now, however, there is a point I would like to add, that every university has a guidelines that mentioning whether you need to mention the keywords in a PhD thesis or not, and if you need to mention that, how many keywords would be there. Okay, so 8 to 10 is the acceptable, and it's a good one. All right. All right. So I think concept of keywords, choosing the keywords, how to go about the keywords, and how to use those keywords for your effective literature review is clear to all. All right. Okay. Now, for example, now keywords, I'm explaining you for the keywords only. So if you are, for example, if you're using a particular research methodology, so your keywords would be qualitative, quantitative. So because you are very clear that I want to work on a specific one. All right. Now, one advice I would say that this kind of concisement, like you are focusing particularly on methodology, should be there when you are looking for a very specific set of literature. Okay, however, you should start with a broader search and then you can narrow it down further. All right. Yes, again, while going for the keywords, mindful for your spellings, they are very important, very very important. Okay, now the one question is from Mr. Arjun: which type of keywords in transportation planning most effectively? Can you explain an example? Okay, fine. See, I'll try. I'm not from the civil background or the construction background, but I'll try. See, for example, you can go for like transportation. Now you can, now these days transportation planning is again, sustainable planning is very important. Okay, structural planning, like your networks, your road networks should be, if I'm getting your question right, please correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm understanding right. So you can go for transportation network, you can go for effective transportation, and then you can go transportation the synonym for transformation transportation is commutation. Okay, so if you are going for the rail networks, if you're using talking about rails in transportation, then you can go for rail network. So these kind of, and this way you can go ahead with. All right, now coming to the next step in, that is, you need to connect your search words. Okay, so you need to connect your search word, as I gave you an example, that if you're talking about purchase, you can take a synonym of buying. Okay, start using the words, like for example, you're searching for, like he said, transportation planning, so he can go for transportation and planning, transportation and sustainability, planning and networking of rail networks. Okay, like this you can go ahead with, connect your search word. Mr. Bikash, how many characters should be there in a title of PhD thesis? See, when it comes to the number of characters, number of words for a research journal, I'm saying, so 8 to 16 is an effective word. For PhD thesis, if you have a subtitle also, it may exceed. Okay, see, there is no limitation for the literature review sources, as many as you can review, but you have to put a limit down for yourself so that you don't get just do literature only. If you are saying that I am pursuing a PhD thesis, so you can go ahead with maximum of 160, 170, again, depending upon the nature of your topic. Okay, now in order to have 160, 170 as a final product, you may have to require to go ahead for 300 or 350 or 400 at times. Okay, I'm telling it, if this is for PhD thesis, I'm telling. All right, now coming back to database limiters, as somebody has raised the question that how to use the database limiters, basically it is like narrowing your search. Because let's say if I'm saying consumer behavior is one my top is one topic in my working. So consumer behavior comes with vast sources of literature, n number of papers and theses can be found on consumer behavior. Okay, but on what aspect of consumer behavior I am working on, that depends. Okay, now there is same question from two people, that how many pages should we write in a literature review? Okay, I'm just giving you an example. Miss Manju, I think you're from UK. There is in UK the course called DBA is quite popular these days, and which is a capsule form of PhD. So for DBA, for example, there is a thesis which is supposed to be 160 or 170 pages of thesis. So for 160 or 65 pages of thesis, you can easily go up to 20-25 pages of literature review. Okay, now wherever, if you're talking about a PhD thesis wherein your thesis can reach up to 250, 270, or sometimes even more also, but that does not mean that the number of pages the thesis is good. For them, 30, 35, 40 pages of literature review is also good. Now for synopsis literature review, so for synopsis, university gives you a guideline. Generally, a 10 to 15 page of synopsis is there. So, however, in that, 3 to 4 pages of your literature review is something which is acceptable. Okay. All right. So I'm a medical. There is one question from Mr. Rahul. I'm a medical biochemistry PhD scholar to write thesis. So how can I write step by step? I'll be telling you for literature review. I'll be telling you. Don't worry. Don't worry. Suppose Miss Neeta has a question. Suppose, okay, I supposed your topic is effects of online banking on traditional banking. So which kind of keywords? You have a lot of, see, banking system, digital bank. For online banking you can go for digital banking. For traditional banking you can go for conventional banking. But today's banking versus previous banking, so you can go for anything. Okay. All right. So Srinivas sir, literature review is useful for research gaps and statement of problem. We'll be talking about that also. Okay. So keywords, as I told you, digital banking you can go for, current banking system you can go for, or barriers to traditional banking, or benefits of online banking, because you are giving a comparison effects of online on traditional. So you can go for benefits, advantage, you can ask about that too. Okay. All right. So I told you about database limiters which are here, so you can narrow down your search, that instead of going for a vast variety. Now, since now Miss Neeta has asked me to suppose a topic that, effects of online banking on traditional banking, this topic can be further narrowed down in my opinion. Okay. This topic can be further, he can go for credit aspect of it, he can go for retail aspect of it, he can choose, the person can choose a particular region of it. So you can go ahead like that in order to narrow your search. All right. Or to make it, now why narrowing a search is very important, because you need to make it more unique. What others have already done, they have done it. What is different in your research, that needs to be discussed in your research gap. That how we do it, I'll let you know. Now there is, then after that you have search for database limiters, then you go for truncation. Truncation means you, when you use some sort of ending root term, like, you use some asterisk, you use some hashtag. So for example, if I'm saying refuel, so refuel can, and refuel with an asterisk means refuel, refueling, refuel, child with an asterisk, child, children, childless. So basically what I'm telling you, what I'm telling my database is that related term literature is also welcome. Yes, Rizan, we'll be talking about research gap also. Miss Shalu, how many ways we can write a literature review? I'll be telling you that too. You know what, I was about to read it in how many days. So how many days? If the question would have been like that, it took me 1.5 year to complete my literature review for my PhD thesis, which I completed in 4.5 years. 4.5 years. In 4.5 years, I had my degree with me. So ways I'll tell you, and research gap also we will be looking upon it. Okay. Now, since you have a lot of sources for your literature review, the world is yours, the database is of yours, and you come across with a lot of things with you. But the question comes, and real frustration actually, not only the question, but the real frustration comes when you need to see that which one to go for. And especially, and I'll tell you that, in my times, like when we were doing thesis, we used to visit the library, the physical library. Okay. Now if you didn't know that, because I hope that I did not tell you that I completed my PhD from Jamia Hamdard, which is in Delhi. So we used to visit MDI library, Delhi University Library, if any one of you know these university. So we used to visit these libraries. So there was a sense of authentication, that whatever the sources of literature would be there in these libraries would be authenticated. So we were rest assured. However, with the changing times, okay, the times are different. You have plethora of information available on the internet, so you need to evaluate them, and you need to see that whether we are accessing the right kind of information or not. Okay, before moving ahead, there's a question. I'm a physiotherapist. My topic of choice is manual therapy. How should I choose which will be easier to explain and it will also be effective thesis? Okay, then in that case, Mr. Bhattacharya, you need to go for the previous literature, previous work on or previous researches on the similar topic, and you need to see that if there is already a lot of work which has been done on such topic, then I think you need to introduce certain twist in your work so that a uniqueness can come. Okay, you need to do that. We were told that Miss Sarita has a question. We were told that literature review has to be kept open till we are in the editing stage before submitting. This will in Yes, absolutely. I was about you have said it earlier, ma'am. But thank you for saying this. That when literature review is that aspect of your thesis, especially for the PhD scholar, which will go till the day. I'm saying till the day you submit your thesis. It will be with you. It will go on, it will go on, it will go on, because as very rightly said by Miss Sarita that you need to you might need to add some updated literature. You might need to add in something which is just recently came out and it can affect your work. So yes, literature review is one aspect of your research which goes on with you till the time the research is submitted. Now, coming back to what we were discussing, we were talking about evaluating resources. So, since I'll be telling you, Abhay, what is exactly the research gap. Hold on. Let me, gradually come on to that topic. So while evaluating research resources, why this particular point has come? Reason being, we being living in a digital era where everything is available or on internet, and thank for the pandemic, we are not able to step out of the home. Thankfully situations now is better, but we have been stuck to one system, that is our laptop or our laptops or our computers. So whatever information is there, we need to catch hold of that. Now out of that, or even in the hard copy of the information or the journals or the books, you need to make sure that whatever source of literature you are accessing, it is authentic. Okay, it is authentic, that it is you need to make sure that which particular institute has published that, or who is the owner, as in who is the author of this, of that particular research, what are the credentials of that author. You can see for the very small things that the spellings of the work, the grammatical error, whether the research objectives, whatever is being stated, are being actually been found out in the analysis part, or conclusion states them or not, how the hypotheses are being found out, and whether the information which is being given in that particular paper is of very good quality, but it does not meet your requirement, it does not cover the information which you need, so it's of no use for you. Okay, I'm not saying the quality is not good, quality is very good, but the point is that it does not meet your requirements. So for you, it's a no for reviewing that. Okay, now I'll take the question before moving to the next slide. Shubhankar, should I read all the previous theses on my topic for LR? No, you are not supposed to read only the thesis. There are other sources of literature as well, which I told you, go for them as well. Mr. Abhay, research gap, I'll tell you. Miss Jagruti, my topic of research is in green marketing. Very nice. What all should I search for? Now, uh, now, being a researcher, whenever you're telling your topic is, is in green marketing. Now, the question is that my topic of research is in green marketing. What should I search? So I'll say search for green marketing. Right? Now, I just told you about quoting the right kind of keywords. Now, everything related to now in green marketing, are you studying the influence of it? Are you studying the impact of it? Are you studying the barriers to it? Are you studying the cost associated with it? I'm not aware. All right. So by explaining your topic, then I think it will be an easier way to tell that this kind of literature you should be go for. Now however, since you have told that green marketing is your topic, you should go for the green marketing literature. Okay, Vibhisha, I'm not proficient with standard English to write standard manufacturing. How do I overcome this? See, first of all, Miss Vibhisha, I'll tell you, nobody is proficient. Nobody is perfect. Okay. Practice. One tip I'll tell you, read a lot of papers, read a lot of theses. Even if anybody is very good in English, very fine English, very fluent in English, he or she will write a good paper linguistically, from the language perspective, I'm saying, it's not sure. Because when you write a paper, when you write a research, your language is different what you write otherwise. Okay, so read previous thesis, read previous paper, learn their style, and see how actually a research paper or research thesis needs to be written. Okay, this way what will happen, you will develop your research acumen towards research writing. All right. All right, so there is one another question, Ms. Digbandhu. Generally, how many literature resources should be mentioned in master thesis? I just told you for master thesis, I think 35 to 40, depending upon your how broad you have taken the topic, is good to go ahead with. Okay, Mr. Kiran, I have done PhD on a vascular necrosis of femoral head. Now I want to do a CTS on the subject. How literature review? It's definitely helpful, sir. Reason being, see, literature review is just do not take it as a job or just do not take it as a chapter to be included in your thesis. Literature review tells you basically what all has happened, how all has happened, and what all needs to be done in your topic of study. Okay, it will be really helpful for you. Mr. Narendra, questionnaire should be end of session. Okay, although it is not related, but questionnaire as the tool which you have used in, it should be kept in the annexures. Okay, Mr. Fahad, my supervisor is not supporting to write my thesis. Oh, this is a very Mr. Fahad, this is a very straight commenting on an supervisor. Okay, I think you can get in touch with with the research graduate. I hope we can help you. Okay. Mr. Abhay, please keep one lecture on sources of research funding and how to approach. Sure, we will take into consideration. Okay, if any grammatical mistakes in my language while writing research paper, it's to be published or will reject. Okay, if there is any grammatical error, if there is any spelling mistake in your research paper, the journal might not reject it, but they'll send it to you back to you for review. Okay. Literature review. Oh, thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much. Yes, it is a eye opener, because why I said thank you, because literature review is generally a very underrated section for a research paper or a research thesis. People don't understand its value much, but it's a backbone of your paper, of your thesis, of your research study, if it's done rightly. Because research literature, or the review of literature, or literature review, whatsoever you may call it as, helps you to identify your variables, helps you to identify your research gap, and on these, the entire foundation of your research work is there. Okay, so never take the value, or never estimate the value of literature review. Now let me just quickly tell you about how your quality literature review should look like. Okay, first of all, it should be comprehensive. Now when I say comprehensive, it should not stick only for a thesis of 160 70 pages, it should not stick to only 2 pages. Don't do that. Comprehensive means it should convey the information which your topic mentioning about, okay, around which your topic is revolving. It should be up to date. Now here I have a one point to and add, that is, let's say there is some important theory, some important model, some important previous research which does need to mention in your current thesis. Please do mention it, even if it is quite an old one. Okay, but try to get an up to date references. Okay, plagiarism should not be there. Just do not follow cut copy paste, cut copy. Please do not do that. Literature review does not means that you are copying the previous sources. Please do not do that. You will have to use your own language in changing the English of that literature. I'm not saying meaning of it. I'm not saying meaning of it. Okay. So it should be that, and it properly searched, selected, and it should be well written. Now, uh, before moving ahead, let me take you one question. Mr. Samuel, what are the sources of literature? I've already covered, Mr. Samuel, in the previous slide. It's there. Srinivasa has a question. In literature review, what are the aspects we have to cover? Objective findings all over. I'll tell you. When you talk about your research literature, okay, first of all, with the help of literature review, you are telling your audience that how the particular work has been looked like in the past. Okay. You search for the related literature on the basis of your nature of the study. Okay. You look for the theories related to it, sir. Objectives we do not cover in literature review. So you look for the theories related to the topic. You look for the major researches which has happened and related to the topic. Let's say, for example, if somebody is working on consumer behavior intention, buying behavior intention, then for him or her, the theory of Eisen is very important. So they'll mention about it, theory of planned behavior, right? So that ways, and then you talk about the variable structure in the literature from the previous studies. Okay, and then eventually you talk about the gaps of it. Okay, and there is another question from Mr. Reddy, how to write operational definitions. Now, when you talk about definitions, I think I have covered this aspect in the previous webinars. However, I'll still tell you, whenever you are talking about plagiarism, two things don't change their language: definitions and quotes. If some quotes are there and if some definitions are there, don't change the language. However, avoid using too many definition, otherwise your plagiarism will go high. Okay. Mr. Fahad, I want to complete my thesis as soon as possible because 4 years have passed. Okay. Mr. Fahad, you reach out to research graduate on the given details. Definitely, they'll will help you out. Ms. Riti, what should be the length of review of literature paper in a thesis? I already told you, dear. If it's a thesis, consider, let's say, I'm taking on an average 160, 70 pages of thesis is there. So consider about 25, 30, 35 pages of your, 35, 40 pages of your, this thing, of your literature review can be good. Mr. Pramod, what amounts to an outdated literature? Is there any time bracket? Like, see, Mr. Pramod, when you talk about the updated literature, so updated literature is as good as 5 years or so. However, as I told you, that if there is a fair good amount of work from the previous researchers, more than 10 years or 10 years or so, but it is important for yours and it makes sense to be added in your work, you may add it. For example, for PhD thesis, we may exceed of mentioning about the sources which are even 10 years or older. Okay. Even if PPTs are not clear, Mr. Atole, they'll reach out to you, so don't worry. Okay. Miss Neeta again has a question: how can we write literature review? Means from where we have to start and what should we include? And that's what is the webinar is all about, dear. Okay, I'll tell you what to write and how to write. Don't worry about it. All right. Now, the purpose of literature review, as Srinivas sir also have said, that what exactly literature review does. Literature review, firstly, it tells you that what already has done, what further not to be done, because you're not supposed to duplicate your work. So whatever has been done already, why will you do it again? Okay. Then you talk about the gaps, which is the conclusion part of your literature review, and which is the most important aspect of literature review. Okay. Then what ways the previous authors have conducted their studies, the methodology of that, the different definitions of that. On one another tip, I would like to tell you, a tip is there. Many a time what happen is that you may are not clear that on what particular title I should work on. Okay, agreed. Then what you do is go for the future recommendations of previous researchers. That means the recommendations, the suggestions the previous authors had made for the future researchers like you. Start working on them. You can work upon them too. Okay. All right. Coming, literature review should be put it on separate chapter. Yes, especially in the thesis. Uh, Pilot study. We will. I'll brief you about pilot study. Pilot study basically is to test your data collection tool on your sample, wherein you choose a handful of your sample size, not exactly one which which you're going to use in your study, but when it is like a sample test. Okay, it is like a sample test. Should we start from recent to previous research for literature review? You may go ahead, vice versa also, Gamya. It's okay, fine with you. PPTs will be shared with you. Don't worry, Chaitanya. Literature review can be interdisciplinary. Now, depends upon the topic of your work. Now, let's say, for example, you are talking about engineering efficiency of an organization, wherein you need to talk about the managerial aspects also. Then you're talking about interdisciplinary approach as well. Like you need to talk about the management functions also. You need to talk about the engineering functions also. So that depends upon the nature of study. Miss Lane, do you want to do one coaching? You can reach out to research graduate, and definitely your one-to-one sessions can be conducted. Don't worry about it. Okay. Now, somebody have asked me what to include in literature review. Now, let me open this is for you. Literature review use mixed method. Now, mixed method is a research methodology approach. Literature review, I'll tell you the type of literature review, okay, in this only, and you can structure your structure of literature review can be according to that. All right. Mr. Saurabh, actually, why Hindi is not being used? Otherwise, मेरी Hindi काफी अच्छी है. But why Hindi is not being used? Because we have international audiences as well, so they may not be able to understand Hindi at all. बट मेरी कोशिश रहेगी कुछ ऐसे टर्म्स विच आर वेरी वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू अंडरस्टैंड, मैं उनको हिंदी में कहने की कोशिश करूंगी. ठीक है. नाउ मेरा क्वेश्चन था ये कि व्हाट इज इंक्लूडेड इन लिटरेचर रिव्यू. समबडी हैव आस्क्ड मी व्हाट इज हाउ टू राइट इन लिटरेचर रिव्यू. सो हियर वी आर देयर. Okay. Now, first of all, you need to start about the historical background of the research. Whatever topic you have in hand, talk about the historical background of that. Okay. Then you talk about your whatever concerns, issues, whatever research questions you have on the basis of the current topic, but it is mentioned in the previous one. Here in literature review, everything we are talking about the previous one. Okay. So whatever trends are going on, mention that. So your research background, your current research question, issues, debates, whatever is going on. Then your theories and concepts. So whatever relevant theories are there, like I gave you the example of purchase behavior. So in that you need to plan, you need to go for the theory of planned behavior. You need to mention define consumer behavior. So in that you put about your concepts, your definitions, definition of relevant terminologies. If you have, let's say for example, you're talking about certain variables, how do you define them? Okay, if somebody is talking about efficiency, so how do you define efficiency? What aspect of efficiency is being focused in your research? Okay, all those definitions should be there. Okay. Then research your work expands or gap that work fills. Right, research work is very important, which needs to be find out from the literature that we will do. Okay. Mr. Kaushik, the PPTs are not readable. Kindly increase your video quality of YouTube. Asta, you will get the webinar soon after the webinar. So you will get the certificate soon after the webinar. Mr. Saurabh, बेसिक कैसे लिटरेचर रिव्यू करें वही बता रही हूं मैं आपको मिस्टर सौरभ कि लिटरेचर रिव्यू कैसे करें. ठीक है. ओके. Now some Miss Micheline have asked me that we can use the review the mixed method. So basically there are certain type of literature review with which you can go ahead with. There is first is evaluative review, wherein you need to focus on providing a discussion on the literature review, wherein you talk about the knowledge in that, whatever is the terms used in that, So you focus on that aspect in this literature review. When you talk about exploratory literature review, so basically here you are talking about research methods, research theories, and whatever specific particularly researches have been done in that area. Instrumental research is find out basically when you are talking about a particular specific research problem. So here your literature review is very focused. You are talking about a particular research problem. Now, before I move to literature writing, I'll tell you how you can structure or how you can organize your literature review. Okay, just verbally, please pay attention. Before that, I'll take a question from Mr. Srinivas. The authors and their work reviewed shall be shown as references, bibliography part as it is, with journal names, title. Exactly, Mr. Srinivas. So there are, I think, the previous webinar, if you have attended, I hope you have attended, wherein I have told about citation and references. So there are different style of referencing, there are different style of citations. So accordingly, which style your university wants, or what is the required style of referencing by the journal, you can choose ahead. And then yes, definitely in referencing, you need to put all the details of the work done or reviewed by you. Now, I was telling you about how to structure the literature review. One thing, you can start in a chronological order. Now, when I say chronological order, what I mean is chronological order, you can go for year by year. Like in 1929, this happened, 33, this happened. I'm taking too old, just for example. So 33 then happened, 45, this happened, 48, this happened. So, you are progressing with the years to the most nascent one. And then you can go for the vice versa as well. So, starting for the most latest one, and you can go for the older ones. Okay, so therein this kind of literature is beneficial in those researches where you are trying to trace down any particular evolution, you are trying to trace down any history, you are trying to understand how the transformation has taken place. For those all topics, you can go ahead with it. However, there is another kind of a way of organizing your literature, that is variable based. Okay, so in that, you talk about the variables, moving on one variable, irrespective the research is conducted in 35 or 2022, it's okay, fine. So you are talking about one variable, then another one, then their influence or impact, whatever you want to discuss about. I think this variable based literature review structure is widely accepted or very popular, in that you just talk about your variables, you talk about irrespective of the year, irrespective of the latest publication, you just talk about the variable and you talk about the reviews or the theories according to that. Okay, what is the Mr. Fahad has a question, what is the step of the thesis after completed synopsis? The step of the thesis is to go ahead with the literature review. Okay, मिस्टर सौरभ हैज अ क्वेश्चन, किसी रिसर्च में तीनों तरह का लिटरेचर रिव्यू करना है? आप कर सकते हैं मिस्टर सौरभ, बेसिकली आपका टॉपिक उस तरह से हो, आप करंट नॉलेज की भी बात कर सकते हैं, आप थ्योरीज की भी बात कर सकते हैं, और पर्टिकुलर रिसर्च प्रॉब्लम की भी बात कर सकते हैं। तो आप इस तरह से बात कर सकते हैं, अपने एक पर्टिकुलर रिसर्च प्रॉब्लम ली, उससे रिलेटेड थ्योरीज ली, और उससे रिलेटेड कोई भी आसपास की इंफॉर्मेशन है, तो तीनों का आप डाल सकते हैं। ठीक है, ओके, नाउ लेट मी go back to the literature review writing process. All right, now here, first of all, let me tell you, as I told you, that there is chronological order or variable based. So variable based is I think it's my favorite, because there is no hustle bustle, that if I'm not getting any middle literature, like if I'm on 33, I'm not getting any 3 to 38, and I'm coming to 45. So there is no tension, and every kind of research study and its literature can't be arranged according to this. So there is no, basically not a linear process. You need to focus while writing the literature review. And one thing very important, I think, which we have discussed also, your literature review goes till the end of your thesis. Okay, so till the time even your work is not submitted, you need to keep a check on your literature review. It's not like that okay, fine, 15 pages of my literature review is done, and now I'll see my literature review only when I'll compile my thesis. It does not happen like that. you have to keep an eye on your literature review till the last. Okay? All right. So let's move ahead. Now, how to organize it? First is chronology of events, which I already told you that how chronology happens. Now here I'm telling you that chronology of events. This instant first happened first. This instant happens. Like for example, if somebody is writing a thesis on evolution of mankind or human being, so how the current stage of human get transformed in it from its earlier form of monkeys or chimpanzees, or I don't know, I mean, whosoever is studying that must be knowing it better than me. So if you are tracing that evolution of mankind, so you'll be, or evolution of earth, let's say for example, so how it was into molten state, then it comes to the life came, the dinosaur age, and then so here we are talking about the events which has happened. Okay, so in this kind of literature review, you'll talk about, your literature will talk about those events. Okay, so here you are talking about evolution, transformation, or let's say for example, if somebody is talking about world at a glance, for example, so then when World War I happened, when World War II happened, then coming back to current situation, and so on. All right, then by publication. Now this is what exactly what I explained to you, that when you go to organize your literature review according to the publication, so starting up with the most recent one or the most oldest one, or vice versa, and then you go ahead with, or you talk about that what is the most important contribution of the publication, so you pick up the major important literature in this. Mr. Saurabh, I have a question. I'm from law. कैसे variable base होगा? Please explain. Mr. Saurabh, for this, see, this is a piece of advice for all the researchers. Whenever you're telling about your topic to anybody, now, for instance, Mr. Saurabh has told me I'm from law. So now for me, telling the variables is next to impossible. Reason being, I do not know beyond that he's from law. Are you getting my point, what I'm saying? So law can be civil law, criminal law, there are n number of laws are there. All right, so what exactly is the topic and the title needs to be known. Okay, now, Zotero is very helpful in organizing the literature review. Basically, Menley and Zotero, they basically arrange your literature. What happens exactly in literature is when you read a lot of literature, it becomes clumsy sometimes. You forget that which source of literature you have taken help from. So these softwares, Menley and Zotero, they organize your literature. So they keep a track of what all literature you have reviewed and taken information from. Okay, so it is helpful. Now, another approach of organizing your literature review is methodological. Now here, the main focus or main perspective to review or to choose or to arrange your literature review is by focusing on the research methodology. So you are talking about methodology, like for example, somebody witnessed or somebody analyzed this particular problem by using the data collection tool of interviews, somebody used by questionnaire, somebody did the regression analysis, somebody did the mixed method on this, and so on. So you primarily focus the literature review with the perspective of research methodology. Okay, and then you arrange your literature on that. Now, how to summarize it? See, it's very important to have a hold on your literature review. Now, this is a piece of advice which I would like to give all you researchers. What happen is when we are doing our PhD or when we are writing a paper, what happen is we are in a pressure of reviewing a lot of literature. This happens that we are already in a pressure of reviewing a lot of literature, and what do we do is control s save, control as save, and eventually what happen is majority of the screens of our laptop is flooded with literature, 80% of which it is not used or it is not informative. So what to do with that? So please keep a check on your literature and summarize them, arrange them, make a tabular form, which I'll show you. I'll take a question before that. If our research include more than one type of methodology, we should write literature review separately for no research method. Research literature is not written separately for your methodology. Research literature is written for your literature, which is based on your research problem. Okay. Mendeley is helpful in literature review, same which I told you as Zotero. They are the software which helps you organize your literature review. Okay. Now this is the way you can, this might not be clear to you, so do not get panic, all of you, please do not get panic. This is a picture which we can be visible to you once you have your PPTs with you. So this way you can actually summarize your literature. And this work may be done by Zotero and Mendeley software. They actually arrange your literature, like your author, what is your study design, what is your data collection tool, what is your findings, what is your objectives. So basically these are the 5 6 things which you look out for in my literature review. Okay. And this is the way. So once you have reviewed a particular literature, so instead of going back to the entire paper once again, this tabular form will be helpful. Agreed? So this is the way you can summarize your literature review. Okay. And softwares like Mendeley and Zotero, they help you in that. Another example of summarizing the literature review. This can be helpful for you. Now, the most important aspect of literature review, that is research gap. First of all, understand it. What is research gap? Research gap is that aspect which is either missed in the literature, okay, or it has not been addressed, or it has not been covered properly, or a particular variable has not been chosen according to you. You think that this should have been studied well, and you try to find out that. So the area which is not yet addressed properly is called as research gap. Okay. Now this research gap tells you that why your study is important. What is the need of your study? Because this is the gap which is there in the literature review, which has not been done by the previous authors, previous researchers have not focused on this particular aspect. So there how your thesis comes into picture. Okay. All right. Then an example I have given to you: imposed career study among school students in India. So, this is the title, a short one rather. So, the aim of the research is to determine that how the students experience when they are forced to choose a particular career by their family or their parents. What are their experiences? So, the gap of this topic is that it has been found that there is very limited research has been done on the withdrawal behavior. Now see, definitely this experiences of the students people have talked about in the past literature, but very limited study, a very safe statement. Whenever you are writing a research gap, you can say that it was sound a very limited study, very limited study. Okay, so just in case if somebody comes up with by saying that no, there are studies, so you have already on the safer side saying it's a very limited study, that there is, that how the student who has been forced to choose a particular career has shown the withdrawal behavior. Okay. Now how to have variables in business law like research in goods and services tax. Now depend, again see, if you will tell me your topics like in the air, how to have variables, definitely go ahead with the previous literature and then choose what influence, what impacts, what you, variables are those elements which you want to measure in your study. So what do you want to measure? Okay. I will tell you, Mr. Rahul, how to write literature, don't worry. How many literature we should review to support a research gap? So Mr. Kundan, when you talk about supporting research gap, so the question is that if we are calling it as a research gap, then that means there is no much of literature available, right? So if there is already a lot of literature which is available, So it may not sound as a research gap. So not too much. Mr. Amit, how to do PhD fast without wasting time? Oh, wow. Mr. Amit, this is a question which majority of the scholars are answering for. Because we in starting do not know what do we do. We just start reading anything. I have a problem regarding in search with methodology. Yes, I think you have joined in between. So if you have problem regarding searching in methodology, then if you have an in particular methodology in mind, start reading about the paper based on that methodology. I'm just telling you about the methodology part. Okay, so start reading about the papers based on that similar methodology. All right. Srinivas sir has a limitation of previous researchers shall be considered for framing research gap and objectives. Sir, I have one thing to point here is that not necessarily that all the limitations of the previous researchers can be considered as a research gap. Okay, not necessarily. Like for example, limitation of unavailability of time and cost cannot be considered as a research gap. Okay. Jagrup, definitely. Let me finish up with this webinar first. We'll let you know when is the next one. Don't worry. Thank you so much. Okay. So, research aim was to understand, determine the experiences of the students who have been forced to choose a particular career. What are the research gap that already authors have worked upon these experiences, but socially withdrawn behavior, how they stop talking to other people, this has not been shown. So, this is a research gap. So here is the research aim and here is the research gap. Okay. So research gap basically tells you that why your thesis is important, how intense your thesis would be because you are focusing on a particular research gap. Agamya, authentic research paper, I have told you, authentic sources, I have told you how to go for it in the just couple of minutes back. Okay. All right. Now, how to find these research gap? Obviously, if you're talking about research gaps, how to find this research gap? Mr. Amar, first start writing a review article, and then we will talk about impact. Impact factor means, wherever you are having high number of citations. All right. So you have two different questions. So first, writing about review articles. So start doing literature review rigorously. Okay. Now coming back to how to find the research gaps. So something, you start working about something which you like. Examples I have given it to you. Then look for the mega trends, like something which is happening quite a bit, because something which is new and which is relatively new may not have been touched upon by majority of the researchers, so it will be relatively a new or untouched gap. Okay. Or probably you can go for a recent literature. Then you may find out that your own perspective can be differed from what previous authors are talking about. You want the influence to be showcased, they have showcased the impact of it, or in a positive manner. You want the negative manner, you want to identify the barriers, they have talked upon the motivational factors and so on. This way you can identify the research gaps. Okay. Then example I have taken, impact of virtual teaching on teachers. Impact of, now here let me tell you one keyword for this: influence of digital teaching on facilitators. That can be, so digital teaching, facilitators, influence can be my keywords. Okay. All right. So here the research gap is psychological impact of teachers on teachers need to develop creative skill necessary to engage students. These are my area to be worked upon. Okay. Now you can talk about impact on work life balance. From this you can develop this. Now how to structure the literature review, somebody asked me. So first of all, you write the introduction of it, in which you mention about the topic, because if you're talking about a particular research topic, you need to brief the audience about it. So just tell about the topic, just tell about the concept of it, just tell about the relevance of it, how it is important. Because unless and until I find your paper, for example, anybody finds your paper, that it is important for us to read, why will we read it, right? Then you come across the main body. In that main body, you talk about the background history of the topic, you talk about many theories, you talk about the major definitions of it, you talk about some strengths and weaknesses, and then you come across the conclusion, in which you write about the main argument, you write about the overall perspective of your topic, what you think. Your perspective is also being included in this. So first introduction, then your main body, then your conclusion. Okay. All right. So this is an example for all of you, that how your literature review should look like. Okay. All right. Now this was all from my side, and now we are open for your questions. Yeah. So you will get the participation certificate just after this. Yeah. So now we are open for the questions from all of you. Now introduction of the literature, Mr. Kiran, is this, that when you are briefing about your audience about the relevance of your topic, you are briefing about the concept of the topic, you are making them understand what exactly the, let's say for example, somebody is talking about digital teaching, like I just said, so you need to tell them about what is digital teaching. Then talking about the impact of it, you need to first tell about the digital teaching, what exactly is it. Okay. Mr. Abhay has a question. Can research gap may be included in our objective while doing this search? Research objectives are different, research gaps are different. Research gaps give rise to your research objectives. Okay. From the research gap only your research objectives comes out, but the language of the both are not same. Mr. Ghanshyam, is the research topic related to only graduate or master subjects? I did not understand your question, Mr. Kumar. Flow of literature review chapter. I told you that first it should be introduction, then your main body, then your chapter conclusion. Now in your main body you can talk about the different in your introduction, let's begin, you can talk about the various concepts, introduce them. If you have chosen certain variables, introduce them, and then in the main body talk about the major theories, major influences in the previous researches, how the authors have spoken about. Okay. And then conclusion. In the conclusion, when you conclude the literature review, there also you take some literature and you take about your research gap and then your perspective as well. Okay. Okay. What are the different software tools we can use for drawing flowcharts, etc.? There are a couple of it, and if you're talking about for literature review, firstly, you need to summarize it. You need to prepare. You can make use of Mendeley's. You can make use of Zotero and all. So for that you can use it. And when you talk about flow chart for a literature review, then you need to talk about various aspects, what kind of audiences you are, what kind of variables you're talking about, why you are writing, and all that stuff. Okay. Is it advisable to write references in APA style and MPS both? No, no, no. You need to choose only one, Mr. Rida. You need to choose one reference style in one research paper. You can't merge two in one study. I will read the conclusion. Now, when you talk about conclusion in a literature review, conclusion in a literature review, Ms. Sri, invites or ask for your own perspective also along with the research gap. Okay. What different points should be written in introduction of study and see, when you talk about introduction of study, we will conduct a semi webinar on that too. When you talk about introduction of study, it has your background of study, little bit of the literature review in terms of background only. Then it comes about what is the expectations from your research, what problem you're working on, and then what expected results, only the highlight of it you can talk about. And in literature review, what should be added, I have told you. Dr. Juhi, I'm attending this webinar, so Juhi, I've registered under my own email. Yes, it will be reached. So whatever email ID and whatever email you have given to you, it will be reached to you. Okay. My topic is role of digital finance services on financial inclusion of farmers. Very nice, Nitishri. Very good. Now, if many of you does not know financial inclusion means including the, for example, financial inclusion of farmers, so including the farmers into the financial system of the country, now how they can contribute, and reflecting their roles in contributing towards the financial aspect of the country. Okay. मैडम जी प्रैक्टिकली इजी वे में मैं आप बता सकती हैं, मुझे आपका क्वेश्चन मैं शायद समझ नहीं पा रही हूँ, मिस्टर सौरभ, काइंडली राइट इट अगेन. How to write the research conclusion, whether you want to write about research analysis conclusion, उसका different होता है. पूरे पेपर का conclusion अगर आप कह रहे हैं तो पूरे पेपर के conclusion में आप ये बताते हैं, sorry, I'll come back to English. When you're talking about the research conclusion of a research paper in particularly, then you summarize your entire study. Do not mention any new topic. Do not do that. Just summarize what you have seen and its practical implications. Okay. Micheline, we will be arranging one on Prisma. We have done in the past. We will arrange one more. Miss Sarita, I have told you that we can't use both in one paper. Dr. Manuel, kindly repeat the search engine of search or something like that. We will do that. Literature review is main part of thesis. Yes, yes. Mm. Yes, literature review basically it provides a guideline for your. I told you, no, it's a backbone for your research. Definitely, definitely. Okay, okay. Maybe there are some technical glitch. I think some of the comments are not coming. In Risen, my topic is on NRI marital dispute and the impact of desertion on the partners. Oh my God, but very need of the hour kind of topic you have taken. I'm not clear with the variables. Now, variable on this such type of topic, you can talk about, you first of all find out why these marital disputes happen, the reason for these marital disputes. So, whether you want to talk about the impact of age on NRI, the age of each other. Let's say, for example, the wife is probably elder than the husband, then NRI dispute may happen. If the or sometimes husband is in such country where he cannot sponsor the wife, that variable can also be chosen. That accordingly you can choose. I'm just telling you on the basis of the whatever knowledge I have. Okay. Okay. Ms. Shalu, bibliometric analysis basically is that when you do the statistical evaluation of your literature, published book or the scientific articles, the statistical analysis of that. Mr. Fahad, yes, there is an importance of the certificate. No, Mr. Ghansham, research, you need to do a research dissertation project in your master's as well. So you need to have a topic for that too. My topic is role of digital services of financial inclusion farmers. So when I'm doing literature review, it should be in the beginning of your research, right? Am I need to do both on financial inclusion, digital financial services? Yes, you need to do. Yes. So in my thesis paper, you need to first identify the area of your choice, Mr. Bhattacharya, that what you want to work on. When it comes to Mr. Bikash, what are the different part of the PhD synopsis? See, every university gives you a structure of the synopsis in which you need to prepare a structure. Generally, it comes with a literature review, its introduction, talks about methodology and your significance or the conclusion. So these are the major parts of a synopsis. Okay. Whether you should write your limitation comes at the end of your structure research work, sir. Mr. Saurabh, physical workshops. See, workshop these days are happening only on the digital platform, so it must be there some sort of. Thank you, Mr. Zan. Thank you. Yes, good vibes, definitely. I don't know good vibes. You are sending it to me or for your topic of dissertation. Micheline, my topic is antimicrobial stewardship with technology, so it is difficult to get. No, it must not be. See, it must be difficult that you may not find enough of literature, so you can mention it into your limitation of your study that due to the dearth of literature, certain aspect may not be clear. So it's okay. You can mention it in your limitation. Thank you so much, Mr. Narendra. Thank you. Oh, you're asking me to personally for my PhD guide, so we can get connected through research graduate. No problem. It will be a pleasure. Don't worry. I'll be try to help you in whatever best possible way we can. Definitely, Mr. Chaube, you will be getting the PPT. Thank you so much for liking the discussion. My independent variable would be marital dispute or desertion, ma'am. Okay, now, Ms. Risen, if you're talking about what will be your independent variable, if you are trying to understand why marital dispute happen, okay, why it happens, so in that case it will be a dependent variable that on what other aspect because of which marital disputes happen, that this happened then marital dispute will happen, this will happen. So if there is a distance, then there will be a dispute. So your dispute is dependent on the distance between, or the distance between the location of the spouse. Okay, so in my opinion it will be marital sorry, desertion. Implication of World Trade Organization membership in customer matters and experience in Nepali parliament. This is my chief topic. Oh, this is, see, influence of Mr. Subedi, influence of international organization institution on custom. I think you will get a lot of material on this. Lot of material. Read about a role of World Trade Organization. Different. You are doing in terms of Nepali context. Read it in different context. Different countries context. Definitely, Srinivas sir. Thank you, Dr. Sunil. Thank you. Yes, PPTs will be sent to you. PPTs. See, Ms. Sarika, for plagiarism, we conducted a webinar just before this webinar. There are different softwares available on online, which are free, with which you can check the plagiarism. Thank you, Mr. Machine. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All those, if you like the webinar, I think the feeling is likewise, because I also get enjoy. I also enjoy when the audience is interactive, and it's not that I am teaching or something. It's a two-way. If you have something to share, please feel free. Feel free. Thank you so much, Lina. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. No, Mr. Fahad, this kind of certificate will not be useful for your PhD. This is for your overall holistic development. Okay, Mr. Saurabh, there will be some physical workshop as well, but for that you have to check it out. And these days, I think a lot of digital workshops are happening. Okay, a lot of digital workshop are happening. Mr. Fahad, you need to sit down and you need to carefully analyze that you have not even started a working in a full spree on your thesis. And so please, firstly, start working on your thesis. Start working on, show some work to your supervisor. Definitely he or she will guide you. Yes, Mr. Pankaj, you can publish a research review as a paper. You may publish a review paper. Thank you so much. Ms. Sarita, some university allow 25 to 25% as they are repeated in. It is to my surprise that universities are allowing 25 to 27% of plagiarism. It is too high. It is too high. But if the universities are doing it, very good. But believe you me, you can have a 0% plagiarism also, even in your literature review. I had 0% literature in my PhD thesis, wherein I incorporated somewhere close to 250 literature sources. So, if somebody says that we can't get out of plagiarism, it is that means you have not even tried. So, 0% plagiarism is possible, and 25 to 27% plagiarism is too high, very too high. Thank you, Nam. Thank you, Selvam. Thank you so much. Definitely, Micheline, you for the future webinars, you will be getting notified. Mr. Fahad, these certificates depend upon, again, I'm telling you directly, they do not have any contribution in PhD only. I'm not telling about the job. Job, they do contribute. But for PhD, there is no direct contribution. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. There are, Mr. Aditya, there are a couple of like Grammarly. You can go for your plagiarism check. You can go for Turnitin. So there are. You can go on YouTube and you can check the previous webinars. You can find out. I have mentioned the plagiarism softwares. If you are misleading, it's not. I don't say that you are poor with reference insertion. Don't say that, right? And you can make use of your Mendeley software, and Zotero. You can make use of. Don't say that. See, everybody is a learner. You say that I'm a learner. Everybody is at the same situation whenever we have started our research work. So make use of these softwares. Don't do that. Don't dishearten. PPTs will be given to you. Please provide me a co-supervisor. Mr. Fahad, every university has a set rules and regulation that whether they can allow an outsider supervisor or not. If they can, you may look for one. Okay. Ms. Kusuma, my research is on determinants of usage and adoption intention and behavior with regards to mobile shopping. Don't you think that your topic is too long with regard to mobile shopping? You need to work upon shortening, restructuring your title. It will be variable based. Ms. Kusuma, it will be variable based literature review. Mr. Kiran, 10 to 14% plagiarism is also high. Again, I'm saying if universities are doing it, to best of the my knowledge, I know that anything below 10% is still acceptable, but above 10% is, sorry, maybe I'm wrong, but I have not heard. Mm, this is mainly because the thesis passes through online tool for plagiarism. See, then in that case, Ms. Sarita, your university plagiarism checker is not strong enough. Okay. Annotated by bibliography is the way you present your bibliography in your in your bibliography section, where you explain about that particular paper in brief, probably in half paragraph or so. Yes, Mr. Saurabh, you can. Dhriti, please give some clarity on the word limiter for a systematic review paper and research paper. Systematic review paper may have a word length probably higher than a research paper. Thank you so much, everybody whosoever has enjoyed listening to it, and thank you so much. Very nice, Miss Sarita. If your thesis has 0% plagiarism, I know that. Yes, exactly, same with me. That plagiarism checker, we did not know that. In my case also, I did not know that my thesis has 0% plagiarism unless and until my head of the library, because when we submit it to them in Jamia, what we do is that we submit it to university, and then they tell us finally, when you are done with every kind of work, then they tell us what is the level of your plagiarism. So it's like your board results coming in. So when they tell you it's 0%, so you feel like, oh my god, you're on cloud nine. So same here. I did not use any online software. I think doing PhD these days it's a lot much easier what we did a couple of years back. So, but still, if you guys are finding it difficult, so these kind of webinars, these sessions, Research Graduate is all there to help you out. Don't worry. Don't get disheartened. None of you, please don't get disheartened. Thank you, Saitam. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It will be a pleasure if I can meet you in person. If any one of you see, I'm currently based in Dubai and I'm teaching in Dubai, and I'm working in the capacity of assistant professor. I take care of management modules, and I belong to Delhi. I from here a couple of years I'm in Dubai, but being born brought up in Delhi. So I look forward to meet any one of you when I'm there in India. Thank you, Mr. Chandran. You want to have Miss Chandran? You have to have feedback link, or you can give me the feedback live on chat. Oh no, it's most welcome. See, it's good or bad. You are free. Feel free, because even if you did not like something, it gives us a chance to improve. Okay, see, because Research Graduate is that place which is for you kind of people. Okay, so what are your expectations? It's very important for us to know. So if we can improve in some way, it'll be our pleasure. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, group. Okay, Sarika has a question. My topic of study is transformational leadership. Very nice. And its impact on innovative work behavior and organization performance. Sarita, I have one suggestion. Kindly restructure your title. It's a little confusing. Do I need to include all these three variables? Now what are the variables? Now see here, if you're talking about your literature review, you need to talk about your transformational leadership. You need to first tell the authors that what is transformation leadership, okay? And then you will talk about that how it is impacting on the innovative work behavior. How will you choose variable? You will first tell that if a work behavior is innovative, why it is innovative. It is new ideas coming in, new ways of doing something, processes are getting improving, so you need to define everything. And what are the aspects of organization performance which you are measuring? Are you measuring quality? Are you measuring profit? Are you measuring employee motivation through organization performance? You need to explain all these. Thank you so much, Mr. Akshay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Miss Lean. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Driz. Thank you, Rizan. Thank you. Yes, it's very easy. Don't say that it's difficult. Nothing is difficult. See, the moment you are in research, make sure you will be through of it. Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Nawal. Thank you. Thank you so much. It's my pleasure. I always see this is what my passion is. Teaching is my passion. I enjoy doing it. And it's been years I'm doing this, and I don't take it as a job. It's something which I live for. um Srinivas, review of literature will also be covered under yes, yes, of course. And I'm sure you must be knowing it that literature review is one such aspect which give you maximum plagiarism, in spite of you mentioning references. Definitely, definitely. Thank you, Dr. Sunil. Thank you, thank you. Thank you so much. So, Sarika, please talk about transformational leadership, how you are, on what particular aspect you are showcasing the impact of transformation leadership, how they are making the employee motivated, engaged, they are improving the work culture. What is the, on what particular areas the the transformation leadership has the impact on organization performance. All this you need to focus on. And then you will talk about the variables. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. It's lovely catching up with all of you. And again, it's an amazing interactive audience. So thank you so much, everyone. You'll be getting the PPTs, you'll be getting the recordings in, you'll be getting the certificates as well. Okay, migration of public spaces from outdoor to indoor. Dubai. Oh, very nice. Migration of public spaces from outdoor to indoor spaces in Emirates of Dubai. The impact of sustainability of. Can you please suggest is the title okay? No, I find it that that main title, the title before the semicolon, just make it more clear. Okay, because see, now if you say that migration of public spaces from outdoor to indoor spaces, this is something which may not be understood by everyone. Okay, which may not be understood by all of them. But the subtitle is good, Miss Manju. Yeah, my topic is related to global position of Indian banks. Literature seems to be no global position of Indian banks is not, literature is not limited. Very nice. In Dubai also we have Bank of Baroda with us. Can't say that global position of literature is in the earth. No. Thank you so much, Mr. Srinivas. Thank you. Yes, Mr. Saurabh. Thank you so much. See, never say, Mr. Saurabh, that I'm weak in research. Okay, don't say that. Every researcher is sometimes a beginner, and whenever we are beginner, we are weak in that. So never say that we are a beginner. We are learning, right? Say that we are learning. Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Manuel. Thank you so much. Thank you. Don't say that I'm weak in I'm learning. And suggestion which I'll give you, Mr. Saurabh, then definitely attend these kinds of workshop, these kind of webinar, attend, and side by side start reading also. Reading helps a lot. Okay. Reading helps a lot. As much as you will read, you'll get more and more clarity. Can you tell me about the human capital wastage in terms of literature review? Now, you'll have to tell me that you want to ask about the conceptual clarity on human capital wastage. You want to talk about a particular topic related to human capital wastage. Okay. Yes. So, Sarika, the variables would be the scales of TL, and that will be independent. Okay. The independent variable is your transformational leadership, in my opinion. Can you suggest about theoretical framework in Synopsis? Yes, see, theoretical framework for any topic is that one which you draw about your related theories of your chosen topic. On those theories, you develop a theoretical factor or explanation about those theories is called theoretical framework. Okay. My topic is, Mr. Pankaj, my topic is responsibility and impact analysis of delayed construction project in higher educational institution in India. Any restructuring. Now, see, if you write Mr. Pankaj impact analysis of deluxe construction project in high, I think add not responsibility. If you not add responsibility, does not make any difference, because responsibility should be explained within your context. So if you can say that a study on impact analysis of delayed construction projects in higher education in India, that would do. I don't think the responsibility makes any sense here. Conceptual aspect means when you are talking about a particular concept, you're not talking about a theory. You are explaining the concept, how the various authors, how the various researchers have explained the concept. Okay. Okay, Mr. Alesh, my research topic is on elective selection of normal delivery or C-section delivery. Can you give me some pointers, ma'am? I think it's a medical term which I can see that. Okay, so elective selection of normal or C-section delivery, you need to first of all refine your topic. It needs a lot of refinement. A lot of refinement you need. Can you tell me the decision bank in India? Shodh Ganga, Miss Kasturi, Shodh Ganga. Yes, Mr. Srinivas, you have said what I like it as every teacher needs to be a researcher. However, every researcher need not to be a teacher, but every teacher needs to be a researcher. Definitely, I agree with it. I definitely agree with it. All right. So thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Let me type a formal thank you for everyone, and looking forward to meet all of you in the future webinars. And please, if any one of you have any doubt, any queries related to your research topics, how to write, editing, proofreading, and whatnot, please rely on Research Graduate, and we're there to support you. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Shodh Ganga Kasturi. It is this. Oh, sorry. There is a spelling error. It is Shodh, Shod, Ganga. Okay. It's this. All right. Thank you so much, Miss Misleen. Have a lovely weekend from Misleen to everyone, and from my side to everyone as well. Formulation of research problem and scope of research problem. Scope of formulation of research problem, how you are actually identifying the research problem. Scope of research problem is what exactly you need to identify the background of the research problem, a research problem. Okay. For sure, for sure. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Ms. Kusuma, you identify the variable basis on your literature review. Your literature review gives an idea, it gives an insight about what you want to study. Variables are those elements which you want to measure, which you want to understand the influence of or the impact on it. That's what variable is. All right. Okay. Thank you, everyone. It's been wonderful in talking to all of you, and it's amazing. It's always amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much.